Who are you? Why did you alarm them? Thank the gods I'd already completed my painting. Would have been a shame to leave these particular hilly trails unfinished. I'm afraid the answer isn't easy to explain. If you'd like to have a look at my painting, it may give you a clue. You can find these hilly trails anywhere. Quite boring, in fact, not worth closer inspection. But take a look at this specimen. The build, the coat, and there's a distinct force at work here. In the cyclical lives of such primitive communities, such unique attributes are an indication of evolution at work. Evolution, the transition from nothing into existence, from the known to the So Sister Rosaria brought you. Surprising. And I didn't have time to thank her. But back to the point. From her words, it seems that you were looking for me? I see. So Sucrose sent you here. Then, if I'm not mistaken, you must be the honorary knight. You've got the whole of Mondstadt talking. I've heard a bit of everything. Your actions during Storm Terror's attack, your elemental control, and quite a few other mysterious things. I'll skip to the conclusion. There's only one possibility after all. You came from afar. From another world, correct? Excellent. If I could procure your assistance, I think my research would benefit enormously. Forgive me. This must be confusing. Where should I begin? The essence of life? You're right. Giving a demonstration would be better than trying to explain. For example, awakening life, breathing new life into fallen leaves. However, I have a particular seed in my possession. The method I'm talking about has produced no results. It's like you, in that it hails from another world. Helping it to grow, to bloom. That's the problem my research is up against. That's where I need your assistance. I beg to differ. I'm unable to comprehend the intricacies of life outside of the known world. But you're not from the known world. By observing and researching you, I may just be able to find a way to get the seed to sprout. It's possible, but I will do everything in my control to ensure your safety. Mora, knowledge, and the answer to the question you are seeking. It happens to be an answer that I can provide. How does that sound? Time for a change of surroundings. We should be going. There's research to do. I don't know, but I feel the importance will lie in the method, not the endpoint. Using alchemy to awaken otherworldly life into that would constitute a big leap in my understanding of the essence of life. After awakening, even creation may be possible. Still a little difficult to understand? Well, if it turns out to be a delicious fruit, dinner's on me. Well, let's just say I, occasionally have to look after a child. Another lengthy explanation, I'm afraid. I suppose it's one of the few non-alchemy-related disciplines I'm any good at. The subject of my first research was the elements. In this world, manipulating the elements requires a vision. Though I can't see anything resembling one on your person, how you're able to freely manipulate elemental power is something I'd like to ascertain. I've got a few questions in that regard. Firstly, do you have any extra organs? A second heart? A fourth stomach? Things of that nature. Fascinating. And this floating child is connected to your body in some way? I was merely considering the possibility that you were an external organ. Perhaps there is some invisible force connecting you. Oh, that rules out that possibility. I wonder, did Paimon guide the elemental power to you? But that would mean that Paimon's elemental power would be enough to break through a mountain rock at least 10 meters thick, or cause the waterfall south of Springville to flow backwards. No, that definitely can't be it. In that case, it would appear that there's no obvious difference between the composition of your body and that of the humans in this world. Given that there's clearly a discrepancy in our research, it seems that only experimentation will yield the answers. Firstly, this mysterious elemental power. I'd like to examine exactly how it manifests externally. Let me lure a few slimes to the area. Perhaps you'd be able to defeat them, using whatever method comes most naturally to you. Direct and clear observation are imperative to a good experiment. This is just a simple exercise. Naturally, if you require a greater challenge, we could bring in 6 Oceanids. Well, prepare yourself. The slimes will be here any moment. Great work. Did you feel anything out of the ordinary? If you're injured, I have a few emergency potions ready. Excellent. According to my observations, the manifestation of the external elemental flow is as expected. Elemental reactions are normal. There's nothing out of the ordinary. Now that we know that the external flow is manifesting normally, let's test the internal flow. It's very simple. I can use alchemy to create a potion that will extract elemental power. If the elemental power is stored or accumulated physically within your body, this potion may elicit an elemental reaction. Don't worry. In the normal course of events, you'd feel some temporary queasiness, no bodily injury. If anything unexpected occurs, I've made the necessary preparations. Try not to worry. Well, it's not that there aren't any risks involved, but if there is anything blocking your elemental flow, we'll be able to locate it with this test. Just a warning. If an internal elemental reaction occurs for any other reason, that's a bad sign. Yes, that's an excellent way to think about it. Before we get started, the potion we'll use for the test is missing a catalyst. We'll need to find it. It's a type of ore known as star silver, but unfortunately not all of it is suitable. I'll take you to my campsite. We can gather some star silver ore on the way. I'll point out any likely contenders. All going to plan, we should be able to begin concocting the potion when we get to the campsite. Here, should do for catalyst purposes. This one, usable with a bit of polish. What luck! This should be enough. My campsite is just up ahead. I'll lead the way. This is my campsite. I've added the materials we collected to the concoction. While we are waiting, have a look over here. My assistant Timaeus here is helping me with my research. I'm guessing you may have met in Mondstadt already. Not bad for a point of entry, but strictly speaking, slimes are elemental life forms. In other words, beings consisting entirely of the elements. A cryoregisvine, or even a whopperflower might be a better analogy. But tracing back the phylogenetic relationships between plants and animals, you might have to trace back to the world's origins. In that sense, things might get difficult, don't you think? After all, we've got our primary data already. This traveler is a visitor from another world. If it turned out that she did have a phylogenetic relationship with this world. Now that really would be something, wouldn't it? Great, I'll leave you to it. Looks like the potion's ready. I'll try a little first. If all goes well, I'll hand it over to you. I've just tried some. It's in line with my expectations. Remember to keep calm at all times, and breathe deeply if you feel unwell. I'll be noting down all observable results and data points. Oh, this was the result I was expecting, and a very positive one at that. This potion channels elemental power into the body. Under normal circumstances, a repelling reaction is to be expected. But if the internal elemental flow is unimpeded, you'll only experience momentary discomfort. Once the flow is complete, there won't be any other effects. It was my own concoction, of course. Only natural for me to be the guinea pig. But of course, you're my assistant. By all sense and reason, it would be wrong of me to place that risk onto you. Perhaps it's just scholarly self-assurance, and it certainly speeds things up. In conclusion, I'd say we have our conclusion. As far as elemental energy is concerned, you're no different from anyone else in this world. Nothing peculiar. Then again, better an ordinary result than a peculiar result. Peculiar results have a tendency to be of the undesirable variety. The good thing about ordinary is that everything is an object of reference, and everyone understands you. People are the same, they can understand, empathize, encourage, and support one another. When you're sick, a doctor can diagnose you because they are you. When something goes wrong, you can ask people who've made the same mistake for their experience because you are them. But a peculiar person, they don't have much recourse for the things we take for granted. The essence of their life is fundamentally different. For example, a human can't understand the life of a pyroregisvine or an eye of the storm. Have I explained it clearly enough? To sum up, this has been a positive outcome. Going forward, you can use your elemental power without fear. Timaeus, the results of the new experiment are out, if you could see to collating them. Not bad. I think it's an interesting line of inquiry. Whatever the truth of the matter, I'd like your research at the fore as opposed to my judgment. Before we can proceed with our research, I need to prepare something. Wait one moment. If you're interested, why not have a look around? It may help to pass the time. I'm back. Did you see anything interesting? Not to worry. They're all for alchemical purposes. You'd be hard-pressed to find an everyday use for them. Agreed. I'd love to find a moment to put them all in order. Still, experiments come first. Well, on with the research. There may be significant differences between different worlds. Take Tevat, for example. Here, those with visions can manipulate the elements, but worlds may well exist where only one person is able to do so, or even everyone. So, leaving elements to one side, do you possess any unique abilities? Ones that don't exist in this world? I think answering this question calls for the same methodology as last time. In other words, time for the next experiment. No. You shan't be required to exert quite so much effort this time around. Now, see this pillar here? Use your willpower to try and break it. That was your best effort? Well, can't be helped, I suppose. Have you tried using your elemental power with food? I don't mean for cooking as such. Rather, channeling your power into the ingredients themselves. I'm curious to see how the taste and texture respond. It may even help with proliferation. I suppose I have a curiosity for things that others find surprising. Anyway, why don't you cook us up a sunshine sprat? I've just finished preparing the recipe. Not only is this recipe a staple for me, it's also worth experimenting with and highly nutritious. I'll leave you to it then. Looking forward to the results. If there's anything left over, maybe Timaeus can finish the last morsels. An average outcome experimentally, but you've really brought out the flavor. You seem well versed in the science of gastronomy. As far as the proliferation hypothesis is concerned, we've come up short. Seems like food presents the same headaches in your world as it does ours. Unless... could it be that the natural laws of this world are limiting your unique abilities? Not to worry. At least we put some food to good use. No need to feel disheartened. And here's your portion. Enjoy. I can box it up if you like. I can tell that you're good friends. Paimon was keeping an eye on you and your safety during the whole experiment. Not that Paimon would have been able to do much if things had gone wrong. But anyway. Yes, I'm fortunate too, I suppose. Anyway, moving on to the next experiment. There are all manner of alchemical items here. Keeping them in their proper place is a challenge at the best of times. A while ago, I had the misfortune of misplacing a batch. I managed to retrieve the majority, but 2 vials have been evading me. animal crystal fly elemental extract, and electrohypostasis powder. Don't worry if you can't locate them. I was planning to replace them anyway, though finding them would save me the hassle. If you had, say, a superpower, like night vision or vibratory sensing, lost property would be a thing of the past. I must have dropped them somewhere in the area where you were looking just now. Goodness, you managed to find them. Incredible. 1,000 thanks. I'm wondering, this elemental sight, this is what allowed you to locate the items and find me here on the mountains, correct? Unfortunately, though elemental sight is seldom seen, it is not unheard of in Teyvat. Only a never-before-seen otherworldly power would be of benefit to my research. Don't be disheartened. This falls entirely within my expectations. Besides, getting these items back, I'd call this a very worthwhile experiment. I have to commend your deduction that the items would contain elemental traces. Right then. Up until now, our research has focused on your otherworldly identity. Our research on your identity as one of us is just beginning. In essence, the differences between humans are reflected in our intellectual and physical capabilities. Let's start with physical. Looking out from where we're standing, can you see what Sucrose is doing? And if you jump from here and landed on that cliff, the one over there, could you see her then? So what about if you planted a single blow on the mountain face here, and it burst into 1,000,000 fragments? Then could you see her? Then I shouldn't get too excited. Still, we'll gain a more thorough understanding with an experiment. I know of a location that will be perfect for a physical test. Please, follow me. Not necessarily. Not if you know of a better method, that is. Whichever method you choose, the experiment will end when you reach the opposite shore of the lake. I will factor the time expended and your top speed into my comparative analysis. Without limitations, we complete tasks intuitively, using the method that seems most rational to us. Some of us would be unable to stand the icy waters. Others might find the whole thing rather refreshing. No matter what choice you make, it's all a part of the experiment. For me, every detail is invaluable to the research. Then if you would, please, I eagerly await the results. Me? Recording data, responding to risks, providing, emotional support. No. Unless you're thinking of conducting competitive research? Great work. I've never seen a performance quite like it. Your reputation precedes you, traveler. The data shows that you're easily outperforming the average citizen in Mondstadt. Me? Actually, I used alchemy to cheat a little. But anyway, if it turns out that the natural laws of Teyvat do not affect you, I should be able to make various inferences about the otherworldly civilization you belong to. If the natural laws of Teyvat do affect you, then I shall be able to make inferences into the kind of evolution that would occur under the absence of such effects. The innumerable possibilities that this could present, the captivating insights, it would be something to savor again and again. You've helped me to unravel many of the problems that were holding it back. When we return to the campsite, I should be able to show you something interesting. I may be about to make some analogies between you and a few unusual specimens. I hope you won't be offended. Gold, petrified trees, a sun 8 times the size of our own. The essence of the investigative process is enthralling, but such feelings are inevitably fleeting in nature. I'm willing to pour all my energy into research, and yet specimens are finite. As the unknown transitions into the realm of scientific understanding, the feeling of enlightenment is lost. All these things that start out as objects of fascination end up possessing the prosaic mundanity of a sunsetia or a sweet flower. They cease to be noteworthy. Precisely. To quote my exact words from earlier, These creatures are, for the most part, quite boring, not worth closer inspection. There is precious little about them that serves to pique my curiosity now. Of course not. You have been of great assistance to me, and I will remember this friendship for a lifetime. Now, before we head back to the campsite, there's one more experiment. Intelligence. Follow me. There are some other ruins nearby. I imagine you must have encountered more than a few conundrums during your travels. I'd like to observe your intelligence by means of a practical test of your capabilities, much as we did for the physical test. I'd like you to explore these ruins and return with your findings. There are 2 puzzles located at the far ends of the ruins. After completion, you should be able to activate the mechanism in the center. As with the physical test, there are no restrictions. Everything you do is an action I wish to observe. A tried and tested adventurer, I see. Remember that this is a test of intellect, so should you get lucky in any way, that won't be factored in as part of the test. So, let's see you in action. Start wherever you like. What's this? To the best of my knowledge, these belong to a script of some kind. They can be found all over Teyvat, but they've never given up their secrets. There's still a lot to learn about them, and as for why they should ever have come to rest here, a true mystery. Let me make a copy first. I'll make time to go over them in greater detail after our research. I've truly gained a lot from all this. Comparatively, the little reward I can offer is too small to mention. Let me return to the campsite first. By the time you get back, I may just have a fleeting miracle for you to witness. You're back. Good timing. I've just about reached the conclusion. You took quite a while. Did you get held up on the way back? I wouldn't worry. She's just doing her job. Time for the results. We got a myriad of data today, and it was very difficult to finish all the research in one go. But the integral preliminary conclusion that I can offer you is you're very much like a human from this world. Please, I understand that this may have seemed self-evident to you, but in fact, nothing in this world should be taken for granted. Have you ever considered that the world of Teyvat may have a natural hostility to outlanders? I mentioned the natural laws of this world. You're able to converse with me here without consequence, and nothing seems amiss. But it's arguably a small miracle. The only other life form that, like you, has come here from afar is the seed that I mentioned. Under the effects of Teyvat's natural laws, it isn't even able to sprout, let alone bloom. But after I observed you, I had another idea. Imitating you helped to inspire my alchemy. And so, the transition from nothing into something, from shoot to stem, and now to fruition. Is not nurturing otherworldly life also nurturing the world itself? It would seem that that's as far as we go. A transient bloom of incomparable beauty. Life's proudest achievement. Life is a manifold tapestry of free entities. Its value shouldn't derive from how long it stays with us. Even a momentary burst is precious. A short life can be well lived. A life lived efficiently, lived to perfection, is necessarily one unburdened by loneliness. So, do you understand what I meant about us conversing here arguably being a small miracle? Thank you both. Even if dispelling loneliness is not essential for life, it certainly doesn't hurt. Your help inspired me to discover the means to make a flower bloom. I mean that the time I've spent traveling with you in the mountains was a valuable journey for me. In the future, if the need arises, can I solicit your help again? Well, glad I can count on you. I made a point throughout of telling her how ordinary the results were. But what was that sediment I saw forming at the bottom of the vial? It should not have been there. What could it mean? Those born of earth are bound by its imperfections, but those born of chalk are free of impurities. You and I are alike, both composed of a substance that has yet to be fully defined. If, one day, I lose control, destroy Mondstadt, destroy everything, can I rely on you to stop me?